You look so cute.
Thank you. I'm so professional.
You
I'm a
are.
businesswoman.
You
That's me.
are. Oh my
A
God.
gal with a plan.
Yes, I love it. So, how are you?
I am good. Really good. Lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there
The
is actually.
world is kind of a little, what would we like to say? It feels a little unstable.
Yes, it does.
That's all. It's
Yes,
the
it
only word I
does.
could think of. It just can feel overwhelming if you let it. And you got to make sure that you don't get caught up in it all.
Yeah, yeah. So, very good segue, Dina. It's like to our point today. What we want to talk about is how to deal with those emotional days and how not to get sucked into them, right? So, I
Yes.
recently have been feeling this like funky, I don't know, it's just been a weird time. And you're right, there is so much going on in the world, and we read these different headlines, and it feels like every fucking day there's a new crisis that we have to worry about. And what instantly comes up for me is, what's my part in that? Am I supposed to donate to this cause? Am I supposed to call somebody? Somebody else has somebody that's in the hospital how much of yourself and your energy can you give that's healthy? I mean, what's your thought
Yes.
on that?
And you can own, well, what my thought is that so I like to mind my business. And a lot of people will go, well, you can't live like that. You need to know what's going on in the world. And you
Right.
need to, okay, great. I get that. I will skim across a few things to get the gist, right? But I don't have to go into detail of how many people died, how many people, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, and it's not that I don't care, but for my own mental health, I need to only take in what is not important, but what is going to affect, like where I live, maybe my friends or family. But I also have to have a good mental health strategy plan in motion. So, what I always do is like, okay, are you doing self care? Are you meditating, exercising, whatever that looks like for you, right? Some people don't have the luxury of reaching out to friends or family members to talk about, right?
Right.
And so, and then sometimes when you do talk to certain people about that, then you wind up feeling worse because they unload everything that they're worried about onto you, right? So maybe it's not the best thing to reach out to people about that particular thing. But
Right.
in these funky times and in these funky days, I feel intuitively that we are all being called upon to start in our own backyards, meaning, yes, we have accountability to ourselves and then to our neighbors, our friends, our. So I always try to start things at home. Like, let's say I'm kind to the girls in my building. I will make time for them. I will invite them over my house. I go on walks with them. I give them what I have to offer, which is time. So if you look at, let's just say, when all this stuff was happening in Ukraine, it's like, yes, I can send money for food, but you don't know what these services, you don't know where your money's going, you don't know. So it's like, okay, but there are a lot of starving people here that I could start with,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so other people may have different ideas and maybe can go volunteer and can go do things, but I also feel too is that I put a cap on it, meaning that when you're starting to feel funky and you're starting and you feel yourself going down that rabbit hole, cap it. Go, I'm going to, if it's a Friday, I'm going to give this until Sunday. Will lay in my misery
Right.
until Sunday, but until then, I gotta put a cap on this because let me ask you, how often does it serve you when you watch everything on the news? You're super paranoid. What part of that can you control, and how does that serve you in going forward?
Well, I don't watch the news for that exact
Me
reason
either. I'm saying
because
in
I
general for
stopped.
people. Yeah.
But I find that most of the big headlines still make it their way to social media, which I love because I am connected to all my, peeps on there. So I see them, and that's where I see most of it. Or I do subscribe to an entertainment news channel that also gives you the big stuff that's happening in the world. So I get those emails. Um, it's tough, and I'll tell you, my gut instinct sometimes is to get angry and like text this to somebody that I know is going to feel the way I do,
The same.
and like,
Yeah.
what do we do about this? Perpetuate that energy. And then I sort of feel like, you know, we can only take on so much, and everybody's got their own thing. Like, for me personally, my cause, I mean, obviously I'm a lesbian. I'm going to give a shit about gay rights and gay issues in the world. And the Florida bill right now is driving me crazy. So, I get worked up about that. Animal rights, I live in Charleston. There's horse carriages, and we won't even get into that. But stuff like that. Like, I realize that I have to sort of pick my battles because there is so much happening, and everybody has to sort of choose their own, right? But it's hard to sort of decide where that line is. It's like, well, you want to donate, you want to give X amount, whatever you're comfortable with each month. But I already give to causes that I believe in and I care about, in a spiritual center that I believe in. And so then it's like, well, there's a lot of guilting in some of that stuff.
Yeah, and what good does that do by you watching it? Getting riled up, does it? So what I always say, and maybe it's kind of bitchy, but is that, okay, so if you're riled up and very passionate about it, go join a cause.
Exactly. I'm like, am I going to do something
online.
about it? Yes.
Exactly. And
yes.
For sure. But a lot of people don't have the time to do something about stuff like that.
Exactly.
And so if you don't have the time to do it, you're barely keeping your head above water.
Right.
You're barely getting everything done with your family, your kids, your work, everything in between. Now, on top of that, you're going to watch the news. You're going to guilt yourself. You're going to gaslight yourself. You're going to hype yourself up. For what?
Gossip.
It's not going to change, for sure, but a lot of people too.
Not me. I'm saying I know those people that just love it because then it gives them fodder to talk about all day.
Yes, but the propaganda machine is going nonstop, so no one even knows what is true and what's not to the extent of it, right? Like, I'm
totally
beside myself about that spill in Ohio, right? And it's like, okay, what can I do?
Right.
So I don't know anyone there. I can donate, which, I have a very small amount. And then it's like, okay, what? Do I sit around going, oh my God, those poor people? Listen, I feel bad, but me feeling bad for them does not contribute.
Right.
Right? And so maybe by me getting inspired and trying to do better where I live or on my side of the world or with my, friends or family or the environment, get more into environmental stuff, get more into, we can't keep leaving all of these things to everybody else and then getting pissed when people take shortcuts, right? So, okay, I get it. But if you're going to be the number one person to complain, not you, but everyone to complain, to get super pissed, my question to you is, if you're going to watch the news and if you're going to do something, are you willing also to engage in it, to be a part of it, to be a part of the solution? Or are you going to keep perpetuating the problem? A bunch of people just sitting around bitching that things aren't changing.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Well, because every time you put something out there, you text it to somebody or you put it on social media and you're just spreading, it's just, to me, it just adds fuel to that negativity and that energy. But let's say that you're feeling like, okay, so like you're mentioning the Ohio spill, and doing nothing feels like doing nothing, and you feel bad, so either way you're feeling bad. It's like, sometimes donating $20 or whatever it is just kind of lets you go, okay, I did what I can do. I've done my part.
Which is nothing in the grand scheme of things, right?
Exactly.
Because
$10, $5, whatever. If that's what helps you go, I did something.
No, even $500. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things, in the sense of, if we want real change, we have to be a part of it, right? But what I'm saying is the change starts at home. So are you somebody who cuts corners or who will take something that's cheaper? Or someone told me recently about someone losing their job because she kept giving discounts to people. And I go, well, was she allowed? And they're like, no. And I go, so she's stealing from the owners, right?
Yeah.
And then after years, she finally got busted. And I was like, although you're doing a nice thing, it's kind of not your position to be able to do that nice thing. And so a bunch of people were pissed for her. But I was like, but that you're not doing the right thing,
the
right?
People that were getting the discounts.
Of course, but are you a part of the problem or the solution? And so I think on these funky days when the world could get so overwhelming and it becomes so much, the number one thing I could ask you is, what are you consuming? Meaning, are you consuming TV, the news, too much of other people's drama, other people's stuff going on, and family issues? Or would this not be as difficult if you weren't consuming all of that stuff. And then the other thing would say, is this situational? Are you funky because a specific situation? Because depression, it's got so many different faces, and a lot of time we don't realize it's situational, and we will automatically assume that we're going down in a dark place again because it feels familiar, right? It feels familiar. But what I'm saying is start assessing and getting to know yourself and ask yourself questions, right? Because if it's situational, we know that every situation is not forever, right? And it's temporary. And then maybe we can approach the situation in a different way, right? Or I know because I've been feeling the funk too, and my funk shows up as lethargy and literally having no desire to engage with anyone or
Right.
anything.
Right.
Nothing.
I
And
get that
so
too.
I know
Recently, for some
that,
reason.
yes, and I think
Weird.
it's just the heaviness that's going on in the world, right? There's
You
so
think
much,
so?
and
Just like a
and it's,
collective.
yeah,
We've
and it's
taken
hard
on
not
so
to
much.
absorb
It's
it.
yeah, yeah.
Especially when you're opening yourself up to learn about emotions and to learn about yourself, and you can't be, I mean, it's literally, it's palpable what's happening right now in the world. And so I feel like sometimes we don't allow ourselves, like, oh, I got to get out of this funk. No, you don't. Allow yourself this rest, but put a cap on it. I'm a big believer on putting a cap on it. So yeah, don't let this turn into you eating Pop Tarts and then Hot Pockets and then pizzas and then going down a downward spiral, right?
Chocolate date peanut butter bars.
Two trays. So literally, I put a cap on my stuff, but I also allow myself sometimes a day to just lay and do nothing
Yeah.
and be a sloth. And
Right.
I think there's so many different. It's different for everyone, but you have to ask yourself how you when you were. I'm a believer in this too. Is when something's going good in your life, journal it. What are you doing? What have you been
Yes.
doing? Why are you so happy? Why is it working? So that when things aren't going great, you can reference back to that and go, what was I doing before? Or what did I do before to get myself out of this?
Yeah.
Right? Or why was it happening so infrequent before, but it's frequent now? Oh, because I stopped working out, or oh, because I was eating different, or oh, because blah, you know what I'm saying. So it's I think this is going on right now with a lot of people.
Yeah,
A lot.
and you just reminded me of something too. I was listening to Michael Bernard Beckwith with Agape International Spiritual Center, and he was speaking to this of to picture yourself as having all your needs met and just sit in that and sort of meditate on that and feel the feeling of it and ask yourself, how is this happening? How is this happening? And do that before you go to bed at night. Do it when you wake up in the morning. Like, hit it a few points in the day. And he said your brain will start subconsciously working on that so that everything that sort of shows up is like, all your needs are met. Anyway, it's a little woo-woo. It's a little bit of the, what do you call it? Spiritual psychology or whatever. But I love that stuff. Metaphysics.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, though.
But it works.
It
And
does.
so it's kind of like going to bed and going, when I wake up, I'll know exactly what to do. Or asking a question, and usually like having a question before you go to bed, and then usually you can wake up and hopefully most of the time have the answer for that question. And there's so many ways that I think it speaks to people, and sometimes people are afraid, like, if it was that easy, then maybe, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
then maybe you're not ready.
You're
right?
not ready, and you're not doing all the things. I'm saying that's sort of a cherry on the top while you're doing all the work too, because you're right. You can't just sit around and wait and then go, okay, well, why isn't everything coming to me? You've got to rise to the occasion. But yeah, there definitely have been some funky days that I've found myself in lately that's not who I am, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I think working for myself, working from home, I'm not with anybody right now. I don't go into an office. I'm not around people. I am by myself a lot. Therefore, I better enjoy my damn company. So participating in the right things, it means a lot to me. Like, I have to watch things that are positive, and they can be fun and scary and whatever a little bit, but I cannot watch true crime stuff. I can't
No.
allow that stuff into my
No.
brain. It'll make me crazy.
You have to be
And
very careful of what you intake.
I have to be
because
very
your
careful
mind
of
will,
it.
yes.
Right. And also, because I don't do a 9 to 5 job Monday through Friday, you know, a lot of people that have that, I feel like just the weekends are the time that they just set aside in their brain to rest. Since I'm working for me and I take on a lot of different projects, I don't ever schedule time for myself to rest. So I've recognized that as a problem. It's like I wake up every day and I'm like, oh God, you know, I have this list that I want to get done. And sometimes it's overwhelming. And so a few days ago, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to lay here. I'm going to have a down day, and that is okay. Because I recognized, I was like, I haven't given myself just a day to just lounge around and watch TV if I want to, or whatever I want to do. You know, just not have to do something.
Well, since I've known you, I don't think you do that.
I know. Well, and I've been working for
think
myself that whole time, so
for
it's
sure,
hard,
but I'm
you know,
just
because
saying
you always
what-
feel like there's always something I can be doing, therefore I should, and that is
Yes,
a
there you go.
dangerous pattern. I think that I've fallen into.
I think that falls into what? Capitalism, productivity. If we're only
1000%.
we have to
Yeah.
earn our rest. Like, oh,
Yes.
if you wake up and your body's tired, you haven't started the day, so you don't
Right.
get a rest until you've done
Right,
something.
right,
that,
right,
you
right,
know,
exactly.
So even if I'm laying there, I feel like, well, at least I could be doing something on the computer. Or I could
Exactly.
at least be being productive that way. So it's like I totally get
There's no
that, and
downtime.
and so I do get that, and my mind just races. My downtime is creating artistic stuff.
Yes.
So like
love
I
that.
get to decompress when that's why I love makeup so much. I do my makeup in the morning because it helps me decompress and get ready for my day and process what my day is going to look like. So when you're seeing my makeup, I get to decide who I want to show to the world that day. That's what I've learned works for me. That gets me excited to greet each day, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's just my time for myself, and I never rush it. I will wake up extra early if I need time, whatever, but I have my little basket. I carry it to the bed. And it's just something that's for me. That's my time. And so, and then of course, when I'm doing it, I turn on the driver's test on YouTube, and I'm like, no, it doesn't work like this. You're not going to study and then do your makeup at the same time and enjoy. So I've had to shift it, right? But I think that we're all in this sort of learning area. Some people could go too far to the extreme and set their boundaries super high and don't do that. Okay, take it down a notch. Or some of it, we got to find a happy medium for ourselves where you don't go from one extreme to the other. But I also feel, I think I've touched on this before with the intuitiveness about what's going on in the world, about accountability and everyone having to be accountable. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but things seem to be moving faster, right? They just seem to be accelerating, right? And so I just think, I mean, it's weird that I feel like we're put on this sort of accelerated, and everyone is expected to emotionally sort of catch up or know what's happening, and people just don't know if they're coming or going. And what I'm saying is this is the time to go inward and really, if you start being accountable for your feelings, the things that come out of your mouth, the things that go into your mouth or into your brain that you feed yourself, a lot of the external stuff that we've blamed on everything and everyone else will start to dissipate. Meaning, if we realize now that we've talked about this many times on this podcast, we get to choose our own thoughts, right? We can choose chaos or we can choose calm. All information is coming in like it always does. Now it's coming at an accelerated pace. Are you going to gaslight yourself at an accelerated pace? Are you going to slow things down and go, whoa, 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 whoa? That doesn't work for me here anymore. Like, we don't take information and then cipher through it later. We're going to decide what comes in and what comes out from now on. Not everything's allowed in anymore, right? And so I think a lot of people, like, I'll give you my ex, for instance. He will send me the worst of the worst clips from the news.
Right.
He vomits
Used
it.
to have those
he vomits
people.
it. So yes, what everyone he sends me, I send a picture of a puppy playing. or a baby playing. So I just respond with kindness, and then I just stomp on it. Eventually he stops. And so when before I used to go, don't send me that, then he would argue, you send me stuff. I go, yeah, but not negative stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's the same to me. And I was like, okay, you know what? He's absolutely right.
Too much positivity, Dena. How dare you?
Right? How dare I? But so what I'm saying is that we've got to be very careful of the way we're talking to ourselves, because everything's being amplified too. Like if you've noticed, if you get your feelings hurt, you're like, why am I more emotional than usual? Because things are raw. Things are coming up on the surface. Everything is coming to the surface. There is no more, I'll deal with that next month. I'll deal with that later. We are out of time. You are on the job training as we speak.
Yeah.
And so on the job training with this new world, as we are now all seeing it come in, you get to decide. So think about this, the entertainment business or whatever. We were only allowed to watch, not only allowed, we only had certain channels to watch certain things. And then they told us what to buy, what was good, what restaurants, right? By commercials, right?
Yeah.
And then it was pounding our head. Look at now with YouTube and podcasts and everything, we get to decide
That's so great.
what we want to listen to. And
Yeah.
we get to listen to each other. But we were always sort of made to feel that normal people didn't have the right answers or didn't know as much as the people on TV.
Right.
And it's like, it's all bullshit. It's all total bullshit. Like, we all have really good advice. We all can do really good things. We all can cook really great meals. And I think we're all learning that. So that on top of a bunch of other information is super overwhelming. And then what happens is when it's too much, we go back to our default. Or to our settings, right? To our factory settings of where when we were raised by our parents. Factory setting is, I take in all your shit, I take in all that shit, and then we forget how far we've come and where we are, right? And so I think it's really, really important, I say, on a daily basis until it becomes second nature, like, today I will not take on what's not mine, you know, or whatever it may be for each person. Today I will not accept my mom gaslighting me 90% of the day. Maybe 10% I'm open to. Not open to, but if I have to, right? If I have to see her. And I just think if you in your head can negotiate what it is, all that other stuff, it won't affect you when you start to become and you work this muscle, right? And you start to realize, I have my own filter, and my own filter, I get to put it on my own settings. These words aren't good for me. These words are trigger words. I will not engage with people who make me feel less about myself. I will not, blah, blah, blah. We get to decide that. Not in my family. You can't do that. What are you talking about? That's not how things are done. And with the facial expressions and the attitude. So all of that on top of everything was like, it's like, oh my God. And then I'd be like, oh my God, they're right. Because I would want to do anything just to make that stop. Right. And so that was how I got caught all the time, is like, I would do anything to make it go away now. And then I would think about it later when I was at home and work it out in my head.
Right. And then it's just,
you know what I
never
mean?
get away from it. So, yeah. So when you see things like that pop up and you're like, do I donate? Do I even like that person's post and show them that I'm seeing what they're going through? If I like it, are they going to expect me to donate? Are they going to expect me to show up for them? Like, it's a whole thing. It's like 10 decisions going through your brain when you see that stuff pop up, right?
Well, and it is a whole
and
thing
I'm just talking about
because
social media.
for sure. Like, what do you do if, like, one time something bad had happened and I swear Bible didn't see it. And they were mad at me because they did a Facebook post about what happened to them and I didn't respond or call them. I'm like, but
therefore
you're my friend
just
in real life.
expected to know it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And and they were literally mad, like really upset and would not let it go. And I'm like, I'm not taking this on. Right. And so I just kept repeating and it just wasn't enough for that person. So I don't know what to do with that information other than you're fucking crazy.
Right.
But I didn't say that. But in my mind, I was like, gosh, I'm really sorry I didn't see that. But you are my friend. And if we're friends in real life, I would hope that you would feel that
Tell
you could
me.
text me.
Yeah.
And she was not responsive to that. And in her mind, she assumed that I was playing games. So, see, where it goes back to when we were talking about you cannot control the narrative that somebody else has of you in their head.
Right.
So, also think about this when you see something on social media or something. Um, I like to donate. I love to donate to Be Strong Bethany Frankel's because I like to see where my money's going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say to people, if you want to donate, know that you know the what is those called? Actually, my brain.
Donations?
The you know the companies,
Causes?
yeah. See if you make sure you know the causes, make sure that they're not, because so many people get scammed off of social media, so many
Totally.
people take advantage of
Yeah.
those things. So, and not only that, but I can't donate to every single cause that I
Exactly.
see. And
Exactly.
even here when I go to the market, there's always someone, because we put coins in the carts here, and
Yep.
there's always someone hustling your coin.
Well, that
like
was
they
the
want,
next
but
thing
they
I
don't
was
even
gonna
want to
bring
help
up.
you.
Like, what about,
Yeah.
all the homeless people that we pass on the street? And some of them you're kind of like, I'm not sure about you, and I hate to judge people. And I think we've talked about this before on here. It's like,
Yes.
I usually just set aside X amount of dollars I keep in my car in cash. And I'm like, this is my weekly allotment. And I'm just going to give it out and not judge people.
Yeah.
Like, whoever asks,
Well,
and when
we've
I'm out,
become
I'm out.
so
I don't dig
yeah.
and look for more. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah. And
Good luck,
that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah,
That's a
I
really
set a
good
limit
idea.
on and I set a limit for myself every week on what I'm going to donate online too, because like I said, I already donate to causes, and it's like it can feel overwhelming, and it just gets to be like, well, wait, I have my own things that I have to worry about financially and support myself and whatever too, and not that I can't give $5 to somebody in need, but if I don't set boundaries, again, it's like, where does it stop, and what are you inviting in for yourself that like now you just become depleted?
Yes.
So,
And also we all can feel so guilty about going on about our days, right? So when we talk about feeling funky or depression or whatever, when you're looking at the horrible weather or the earthquakes in Syria and or Turkey and all of the stuff, it sometimes you feel guilty about going on with your day and
Being
living.
happy.
So then you do get in a funk.
Right.
You do go, oh my God, these people don't have a bed to
Right.
crawl into when they're not feeling good. And it does make you feel
Sure,
funky.
absolutely.
I'm not saying to not watch the news, but I think so much news will wind up desensitizing us to, like, living in LA. I'm not saying I was desensitized to homeless, but
Right.
I never not knew what it was. And
a
so
lot of it.
for me, it was normal, and it shouldn't be normal, right? But there were times when I would give some pasta left over, and they're like, I don't like this pasta. Do you have a sandwich? And then you would be like, dude, are you
don't really
kidding
need
me?
it as much as you're claiming to. Yeah.
Right. But I remember one thing that I will never forget, and I always do. There was a homeless man on like 60 Minutes or something like 20 years ago, and they said, what's the hardest thing? And he said, people don't look at me like I'm a human being. They never give me eye contact. So I always remember that. I'm always really respectful. But when the people that try to hustle the carts and stuff, instead of giving them my euro for a cart, because I don't have a lot of cash around, and
Right.
those change, right?
Yeah.
So I will buy them a bar or a juice, or I'll ask, are they hungry? And sometimes they'll ask for a loaf of bread, and I feel better about that.
Yeah,
And it's
totally.
not that I need to control what they're spending or not, but because I just don't have the cash on hand, right? And so,
And it's not
but
your
you
place
can't give.
necessarily either.
I know, and you can't
But-
give to every single person that
Exactly.
you see. That's
And they shouldn't
You
be
know?
hustling you for money to use a fucking shopping cart.
yeah, well,
You know
and
what I mean?
half of them
But
don't
I
even
get
offer
it.
to help you. Some of them offer to help you. These ones are like, "Can I have your cart?" And you're like, "Really? Like, what'd you do for? Like, what? No."
There were parking lots like that in LA too that just pop up out of nowhere, and there's some guy standing there like $20, and you're like, this doesn't feel official.
Well, here
Get
it's
the
like
fuck
that,
outta here, dude.
but the people are basically saying, "Oh yeah, parking $5." Basically, it's like, give $5 and I won't mess up your car.
Exactly, because then you feel you're
Yes.
like, well, if I don't pay him, for sure, I'm going to be the one that gets keyed or scratched or something.
Yes. So I
Lord,
want to ask
people.
you,
Yeah.
when is the last time you felt funky, and then you had to actually, with your awareness, make a concerted effort to shift.
This
and you
past
noticed
weekend,
that.
I mean, I'm
So
telling
what'd
you,
you do?
I've never felt it so much as lately, and I don't know why, but in the last month, and some of it may be hormonal. Listen, you get to a certain age, or even before you get to a certain age, those hormones are no joke.
Yeah.
So coffee is definitely my friend. I'll do a couple of cups of coffee to try to get my brain engaged properly, but it helps to get out. Like, that's the last thing in the world I want to do when I'm feeling like that. I just want to stay in bed or on the sofa or something where I don't know, just a little bit of escapism, you know? But the thing that helps me the most is going to walk in nature. There's a beautiful park here.
Oh.
It is sometimes so hard for me, and it is the most beautiful park I've ever seen in my life. It is stunningly gorgeous, Hampton Park. I can walk to it. I am so grateful that I have that park to walk to. Some mornings I just
Can't. Yeah.
get motivated, and I'm like, what is that? I live in a
That
beautiful
was me
city. I
last
could
week.
walk around
Yeah.
these neighborhoods and look at all these stunning old beautiful homes. Some days, just don't feel
Can't
it.
get out. Can't get.
Yeah,
I feel
have
like
to
lately
force
I'm
myself.
yeah. I'm telling you, it's the weight of the world. We're gonna start feeling it a little bit more until
Great.
about probably the end of May. But listen to this: once you become aware, right?
Yeah.
You become more aware of what to do, what not to do. Don't fall in the trap. Don't, like, okay, I'll give you for instance, those candies we made. I
Oh
know
my
myself.
God.
I have no business having those things in my house ever again because I know that I can't be
The
trusted.
chocolate peanut
And
butter.
yes,
date
the
bars,
chocolate
they are
peanut butter thing.
Like, yeah, I could
Ridiculously
feel
good.
my ass growing with each bite.
Right?
Anyway.
And so
They're
I
so
know
good.
with my mindfulness and my
Uh-huh.
self-care, now that I know because I've been practicing it more, is that I just don't put myself around it. Before I used to think that I had to prove my ability to say no, right? Or my discipline, and I would have stuff in the house for once in a while. But no, what? I just don't. No. And
I
then
can't even have it in the
let's see.
house. Yeah.
Okay, set small goals. So instead of having things being insurmountable,
Uh-huh.
right? Because everything can feel insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
Set small goals for yourself.
Like?
So for me, for me, like with clothes or overwhelming,
Get up and
sometimes
get
things
dressed.
get out of control. Always get up and get dressed, but I also will, instead of going, I have to clean the whole room, I break it into sections. So like
Yes.
I break into a section of yesterday I broke down a section of the closet where I refolded things, readjusted, and then I give my donation bag, right? And then you start to feel better, right? And then it starts to feel contagious, and then you start to feel a little bit of momentum. You're like, what else can I clean that's super easy for a quick dopamine?
What I've noticed about that too that's super helpful with just clearing your head, because I fell into that over, last week. Like, I am always so clean. I'm always so tidy and like put things away. I just like a clean house. I've always said that it helps me think better, and this week I remembered why. It's because when you leave little things around, I'll leave things out as a reminder. Oh, I want to remember to take that to the dry cleaner. Oh, I need to remember to take this downstairs and put it in the other unit. Oh, I want to leave this out because I want to make this recipe. Oh, I want to. And what happens is you walk around and you've got all these things coming at you all over your damn house that are occupying your brain space. And I finally had a morning the other day and I was like, I just need to deal with all this stuff right now and put it wherever it goes and be done with it. I felt so much better. Like, there's a reason that feng shui, whatever shit works.
Yes. Well, and
It's like,
so
get
what
it outta
I've
here.
learned to do,
Clear your brain.
Yes, I got a little bin, and I think I've told you this. I go around the house, and anything that's out of place that I've disheveled things, I put in the bin, and then I walk around and I put them where they belong. And because I know myself, I'll be like, well, I'm not sitting out there. I'll deal with that tomorrow, or I'm not blah blah blah, and I'll deal with that. And I feel like you're so right. Our head is so much more clear, and when things are sitting out, it's a constant reminder. You still haven't done that. You still haven't.
Right.
But what I noticed is when I was cleaning after a few down days, I was like, ooh, I was more depressed than I thought, right? Because I could tell by the mess. Because I don't usually let things get that
I looked
bad.
around and I'm like, my house never looks like this. And cleaning is so cathartic. Like, you don't want to do it when you're in that headspace, but once you get into it and you get going and you're making a physical change around you, and it just feels good.
Yes.
So you start
Well,
to
and
gain
that's
that
where-
momentum, right? And then all of a sudden you're
Yes.
like, I can breathe
Well,
again.
and that's where you're kind to yourself, because while I was doing the dishes, I'm like, girl, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was this bad. Like, are you okay? And I literally try to talk to myself, because
funny.
half the time I'm trying to encourage myself to get out of bed instead of going, you know what, you really could use this time to rest.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm also learning that I'm the hardest one on myself. I used to think it was other people, but I learned that narrative from other people. It doesn't mean it goes away once they're away.
Yeah.
You have to relearn a different narrative for yourself. But I know certain limits or certain times, if I pass it, then I'm going to go to the other end, so that I never allow myself to
Right.
pass a certain part of that. But yeah, it's a funky, weird, we're questioning everything right now. Haven't you noticed? Like, you're
Yes.
questioning so many things in your head about you, not about everyone else, about why, if, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't know I needed to know some, oh my God, there's more to learn. Wait, what, you know, and it just,
Well,
sometimes
about
you gotta
others
put
too.
a cap on that.
You know, because
Oh,
a lot
for
of people
sure.
have trusted, and we've, been taught to trust people and things and situations, and now we're kind of going, wait a minute. The church said what? Sorry, just as an
Yeah.
example. Or that politician said what? And I thought he had our backs. Whatever it is, it's just all that stuff
Yeah.
kind of coming to the surface, thanks to, I guess, social media. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. Everybody has a voice now, and they're starting to bring up all this stuff that we just never had access to before on that level. And it's a beautiful, incredible thing, and it's also like, oh shit, now we got to deal with it, right? There's a spotlight on
Because
everything.
Everybody
spotlight
has
on
a
everything.
voice.
Yeah.
The worst of
Right.
the worst, they
Right.
can amplify, and then they get, and you're like, honestly, I sometimes find myself going, wait a minute, okay, I'm not naive, but I would like to think I knew a lot about the world. But sometimes I had no idea that certain people think the way they do, or behave the way they do, or are so angry about the things they're angry about. And it's like a thing, right? And so you're just like, wait, what?
Meaning,
Or
like, certain people you follow on social media, or
Yes.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just like that they're angry. Okay, there was this guy that I followed, and he was like an epidemiologist, and he had 3 million followers. Yeah, turns out he was never an epidemiologist and was just lying, and literally during COVID lied to all of those people, and then when he was
I
being
believe
gaslit
that.
about it, was defensive and argumentative.
yeah.
And he was pissed at everyone else, and you're just like, in my brain, my sweet brain, I was like, but why would someone want to lie to that many people? And do they really think that they would get away from it for that long?
Was he paid by somebody? That's where my
I
head
have
goes
no
immediately.
idea,
You
but in the
know there had to have been people planted and paid to sway. Like, there was so much money being thrown around during the COVID.
See, but
I
you
mean,
hate
maybe,
to think
maybe not. I
like
shouldn't
that.
assume that. But
I know,
I'm just
but
saying,
I'm
like,
just
that's
saying
where my
in
head
general.
goes instantly, is like, yeah.
Yeah, but
Somebody
in
was getting
general, I don't
paid.
want to now start being pessimistic about every single thing I see, It's like, where can I get a break to just be like, okay, like, this was just so and so, someone's
Right.
just having fun, and then you find out, oh, lots of people online are like, oh, people who show their babies are giving content to predators, and then you're just like, I look at it completely different now, and I'm like, wait, what? But
Right.
it's just people, the way people think that when you open yourself to social media,
Right.
you are not immune to everything. And like I said before, be careful what you're consuming,
That's right.
because
right.
the sensitive part of us, like you were saying, you have no idea why you're feeling funky. It's just not who you are. That shit affects us whether we're engaging in it or not, because it is the vibration of the world.
Yeah.
Doing the best you can in your environment and being happy actually contributes to the collective. So you may not think you're doing a lot, but by making someone's day, or being kind to someone, or doing a nice gesture, that will then vibrate
It's
and
huge
it
right
will
now,
go
isn't
bigger
it?
and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. It is pretty huge
I think
right
it's
now.
important.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because we are just sort of going on life as normal, but then, at the same time, you're right. It's like we are in unprecedented times, the things that we've been through the last few years and the things that we're dealing with now. And I feel, especially for kids, growing up in this day and age who don't know any life different than what's happening. I mean, it is chaos. It's chaos.
And we are learning with our kids.
And we're learning
about social media because
Yeah.
we didn't know a lot of this
Right.
stuff, and your kids are in it. Or let's even talk about the intensity of certain cartoons or certain things where you
Yes.
see kids having nervous breakdowns about
Video
So
games.
we don't have but we don't have that history of the. So what is it? Cucomelon, Kirkomelon? I don't know this specific cartoon. They say that it moves frames every 3 seconds when normal cartoons only move frames every 7 seconds.
Wait,
so when you
what?
see kids flipping out is because it's like heroin. It's the same sort of dopamine. So when you take the iPad away, I've watched videos of kids flipping their shit. I'm like psychos, but it's like
They'll do that anyway.
these cartoons, these stuff and certain things, we don't know
Yep.
the effect it's having on a little brain.
Sure.
Right? And
Yep.
so we're learning with our children or young people or whatever it is. So I think that it's just so important that to know that we don't know all the answers, but to not let your ego get in the way and know that it is on the job training right now, because we all are kind of going as it's like we're just sort of winging it. It's like, oh shit. It's like, okay, COVID. Then right after COVID, it's like the war in Ukraine. And then right after the war in Ukraine, it's like
Right.
something else. And then politics. And it's like, my head is still spinning, and then it's like, but wait, I don't know if I can pay my bills, or I don't know if this is that, and and it's like, we weren't meant to take all of this in.
Right. And I would say
We were
also
not
look out for
meant.
your parents and your senior citizen friends, because I have gone to my mom's house and the amount of causes that mail her, they still get the physical mail with just the begging and pleading
Yes.
and the bleeding heart, all of this stuff, like asking for money. She was writing so many checks. I looked at all of it that was coming in and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, they need my... No, they don't. No, they fucking don't, Mom. They are using
Yes.
you. This is,
Yes.
and I had to sit down and go through each one with her kind of and explain and like, let's think about, and do you know where this is going? And it was a little heartbreaking for her because she was coming from a good place of just wanting to give to everything, but my God, people will take advantage too where they can, and the seniors are some serious targets for that
Well,
stuff.
and that for me is also very shocking and painful because I might think I'm a little naive, but deep down in my heart and soul, like I don't understand why people would steal from old people. Like it just doesn't.
Because they grew up in an era where they were trained to trust people who put things in writing, people in governmental positions, right? They came from a whole different era where...
Yeah. No, I'm
It was
talking
just
about
a
the people
different-
who are trying to scam them. Like, I
Right,
can't get
but
in
that's
the mind
why
of
they're
those-
doing it, because they know they're easy targets, and it's like, it's sad to me.
Well, and think of how we're desensitized. Look at all the housewives that have gone to jail, or like certain people for certain things. How is this becoming normal? And then we still watch them, and then they still have.
You mean the people on
they're
the
still
show?
on Bravo.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't watch it. I
like,
don't know. I
the-
do
okay,
love
but
following
there are
Bethany,
now-
but I don't watch it.
Me too, but there are now, I think, 2 or 3 different housewives that have been, one just went to jail, have been to jail, but it's normal. She stole from old people, right? And you're just like, how
Did
is
she?
this normal? And but it's like, how do you get your job back, or you get to do whatever, but other people should be canceled or fired. And it's just like, we can't start being desensitized to disgusting acts of betrayal and stealing and theft and corruption and it's just okay. No, it's not. Like,
And like,
yeah,
don't
it's the
even get
world
me
we
started
live
on the
in,
black
but-
community and the shit that they go through and the... Did
Totally.
you hear the Oprah... Anyway, not to bring up another thing, but the
Yes.
guy that was incarcerated for like 30 years for the wrong... Fuck. Anyway,
It's just
and the way that went
insane.
down,
Well-
it's like, I don't even know how black women especially are still like walking through life every day, with a smile on their face. Shit, good Lord.
Well, and then you think about all of
Crazy.
this that we're consuming, right? And then
Yeah.
we're wondering why we feel as funky as we do.
Right.
because it's coming at us at such a higher speed now.
Right.
And it is literally flinging shit like mud.
Yes.
Shit, mud. You try to roll down your window and you're like, dude, and it's literally, and then just when you think you're safe, a friend comes to you with one of their problems or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and you're
oh
right.
my
and
God.
and you try to be empathetic, and you do want. I mean, when I see stuff like that, I do try to imagine what it feels like. I hear the story of this man that was wrongfully accused and put in prison on death row for 30 years, and I try to imagine myself in that position, and then you feel it, and of course, I mean, and I want to know stories like that because I want to be aware and I want to be empathetic, and I want to wake the fuck up to what's going on with the judicial system and all of that. But what you're right, when you have this coming at you all day from different situations, and you're trying to be empathetic and feel for people and appreciate what they're going through, I guess you're right. Yeah, I can understand why I have a funky day or two now.
Yes, but I think our body responds before we do.
Totally.
So we don't even realize what we're responding to or why it might be a little bit heavier. Because maybe also, too, when we go into the market, it's really interesting. When I ask people how they are, here in Italy, it's just not a common thing to say hello to strangers. But so many people, I have to ask it more than once because it's not often that people ask them how they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll go, oh, you mean me? And yeah, you.
Yeah.
There's nobody else here. But it's just even nice gestures like that to make someone feel seen, to make someone feel heard. Like today, I went into the bank and the guy goes, I go, come stai? And he said, così male, means like I'm always bad. I'm like, why would you even say a thing like that?
Right. Oh,
and I
God.
said that to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I started
dude.
giggling and laughing. And then I won him over by time because he was helping me get. First, he tried to tell me, I kid you not, that the reason why I wasn't getting my code, it was the phone company won't let the bank do it. And I have to go to the bank. But then he realized that he forgot one other thing and we wound up doing it, right? And I was like, isn't it funny how quick they give up because they're so used to the system smothering them down and being frustrated and being that I was just like, really? Like I gotta go to Vodafone now and talk about why I can't get the SMS for my bank code? Like, didn't make sense to me, right? But because I was playful and I was being nice and I wasn't aggressive, he was willing to go the extra distance.
Yeah,
right?
I
but
gotcha.
imagine a lot
totally.
of people who are frustrated, who are having a shit day, who consume a lot of that shit, who thinks that everyone in the world is bad, may approach that situation a little different and get a very different outcome.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, are you a part of the solution? Are you a part of the problem? Are you perpetuating the negativity or the fear or the angst or whatever it is? Or are you, it's not like we're acting as though things are normal. Like my ex used to say, I don't know how you survived in this world without me because it's like you live, and he used to say a random country like Guatemala, or he'd say something over, because it's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere to him because I don't consume that kind of stuff. So
Well,
for him, he'll be like, how do you function?
consume a lot of Italian stuff. You just don't consume what he was consuming, all the
Well,
violent.
I just don't consume news, is
Right,
what he said.
exactly.
And so he will watch the 6 o'clock news, the 8 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock. It's all the same news.
Oh,
I just
God,
don't
it
even.
is. Yeah, and it's the same
it's
news
all the
every
same.
day.
Exactly. And so I'm like, what would be the purpose? And then I just get so anxious. And then now I'm not showing up as the beautiful, incredible person who can contribute to the world because I'm fear-mongered.
Right. And like the headlines here in Charleston, South Carolina, I read every morning. They pop up in my little news feed, or in my email. I get the digital edition. The headline every morning is about the freaking murder trials, and I'm like, every morning that's what is front and center, and I'm like, I have no idea what that's all about. None. I haven't read about it. There's a Netflix show out about it, I guess, and haven't watched it. I mean, I'm curious about it, but I'm like, God, why does it have to be every day? That's the headline.
But what am I going to get out of it?
Shit about that stuff.
Yes.
I want to know what's going on right here in the community that is positive. How can I, how can we get involved? Is there a new park? What's going on with the development of the marina that they're doing? I mean, all this stuff. It's like, anyway, I just find it funny.
And then throw that into when you're in the States, you're getting amber alerts, you're getting warnings of, weather on top of, so you can't escape a lot of it. But what
Yeah.
you can escape is what you decide to turn the channel on. Sure, you can't stop the Amber Alerts. Sure, you can't stop on your social media screen. So what I'm saying is instead of consuming, 2/3 of the news or whatever, just decide that you're only going to get your news or information when you're scrolling through your social media or however you get it. But pick one source. Don't pick 10 sources. Then don't go to this source and watch that source and then do that source.
Or just choose your battles. Like, I subscribe to this paper because I want to know what's going on here in Charleston. Unfortunately, that's the first thing that they've blasted literally for months every single morning. And I'm like, okay, but I don't
that's what
I don't
sells.
care,
I know.
So I scroll through. So it's like, pick your battles in your news sources,
Yes.
Go to the stuff that,
and also
that matters
with people in your
right
family.
now.
Yeah, but if you're used to calling a family member every day and that phone call is always not the healthiest for you, who told you have to call every day?
Right. Totally.
Choose that, or start a conversation with, hey, mom, dad, whoever, I've got 5 minutes. I just wanted to say hi. I'm about to run in. And, make sure that you protect yourself. But a lot of us think that we have that gun held to our head that we have to make these phone calls. No, you don't understand. You don't understand what will happen if I don't call. Well, let's see what will happen. Because hopefully you're going to get the tools to know how to handle what will happen if you don't call. And why is it life or death if you don't call, if you talk every day? Like, there's lots of things that that have been drilled in our head that we still believe as kids, because it started when we were kids, that we just will willingly go with it, right? And go, okay, it's just what I've always done, is what I always have to do. No, it's not.
Right.
You get to decide that. You get to change that.
Yep.
And that's what I think we're all a little bit, there's a bunch of us, I always like to picture it as we're peeping out of the closet going, is it safe to come out? Did you
Right.
talk back? What happened? Are they still mad at you? Do they
Right.
talk to you? And it's just like, because none of us were brave enough for the longest time. A lot of us weren't brave enough to speak up against or speak out against or whatever it may be. So a lot of that funk may be also people who know they have to have a conversation and are afraid to have it because they know that most likely it will end a friendship or a relationship, or it will cause a rift in the family. And so it's not like we're all just doing it because we're chicken. It doesn't just affect me. It affects my siblings. It affects my parents. So it's not like we're saying this in an easy way, but you got to start somewhere.
Right.
And those subtle changes and the profound impacts are the biggest ways to get the best outcomes. The simplest ways to get the best outcomes is people won't usually feel the subtle change. And then you get them used to that change for about a
Right.
week, 2 weeks. And then, you give another little subtle change. And you start using I more instead of you make me feel this way, or you
Right.
said that. Say, I felt this way when, or, I feel this way when I feel like you make me have to do blah, blah, blah. And there are little things that we can do, but a lot of us will resort back to old behavior because that's all we know.
Yeah.
And when we're under that duress of pressure or stress or emotional stuff, we will turn to like, you know what? And then we'll just be guilty of and that's what those people want.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They want the old you to show up to bait you. So to be like, you're not as different as you think you are. Oh,
Right.
Miss, I've been in therapy. I've changed so much, Miss Woo Woo Woo. And then I'm like, did you purposely bait me?
Right.
Like, did you and people would be that petty.
Yep. True.
And then you wonder why we all go crawl in our bed and go, I'm feeling shit. Because speaking up for ourselves or being aware of all this is the first part, right?
Yeah.
And then we have to get ready with this.
I mean,
new
that could be part
foundation.
of what it was for my, and like I don't even recognize, but I did have some tough conversations the last couple weeks, and I was very proud of myself and how I showed up for them. But
Yeah.
it's like when you know that's coming, it does put weight on you, and it sits with you for a few days, and you're sort of processing like, how am I going to handle this? But it feels so much lighter
And
once you
also,
just have the
once
conversation.
you do it, but then after it's over, you're like, okay, I haven't heard from them yet. I haven't heard from them back yet. Like, okay, we're good. It's going to stay. Maybe. And then maybe you're hopeful, but then they'll show up exactly. They might be late again. They might not call again, whatever. But it's like, at least your side of the street
That's
is clean and you're communicating the way you need to.
Right.
Right? And so that's all you can be accountable for. You can't control. So you can speak up. So if before we'd be like, I didn't set my boundaries, I didn't, okay, listen, we'll try it. And then once we know we've done everything and we gave someone the opportunity and they still disappoint or they still don't show up, then it's time to shift, right?
Time to make some choices.
Yeah, but you won't feel so bad when it's time to because
Exactly.
you did give an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got some clarity around all of it.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people who are waking up one morning and feeling funky like that? What's the subtle change, profound impact? Action.
I would take some inventory. I would be like, okay, so is this my stuff? And then see how you feel. What am I feeling funky? I'll keep a little journal by you. Go, is this me? Is this the world? What have I been doing differently? Of course. And it's the intention of not just, oh, let me please just get through this day. No, set an intention for yourself of, let me get through this with clarity, or let me get through this, with grace, or allow me to allow myself. But a lot of self-talk has to go on in these changes, right? Because our narrative is what drives the changes, right? So whether it's bad or good. So the subtle change would really, because once you start doing inventory and excavating, it doesn't take you long to get to what's permeating, right? But it could just be, sometimes I don't stress about like money the way I used to, but it still doesn't mean that I'm not stressed inside, right? So sometimes I will think and I'll go, what's going on? And then I'll be like, oh yeah, okay. Like it is the money, or it is this, or it is, and then I will go, okay, and I'll talk to myself about it, or I'll be like, you've always gotten through this. It has never been as bad as you've ever made it out to be. And I proud parent myself, right? And I'll be like, I will show up for you. I'm not going to leave you hanging. And because when I was a kid, it was the end of the world if my mom didn't have a certain amount of money for a certain thing. And it was catastrophized.
Yeah.
And that is what I had learned, right? And so now I'm just like, I can be overwhelmed and still function.
Well, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that is always something that sits on my brain as to what if this doesn't work? What if the money doesn't come in this month from this project or that or whatever? That's always an underlying thing that I've been working on too, of like, I just got to let that go, because I can either worry about it all the time or fucking let it go. But some days I wake up and I'm not focused on that per se, but sometimes you just literally don't know why you're feeling funky. And that's where I say it could be hormones too on top of everything, but you just don't know. And some days, what works for me is getting up and just moving my body. If I get up and walk, look at the pretty, it's spring here in Charleston right now already. Yeah. So it's gorgeous. The flowers are blooming. The minute I get out there and I get in that, it's like, okay, I feel a little bit better. Damn it. Oh, look, there's an endorphin. Fuck you.
Yes, totally. But, and I've been doing those ice baths. Yeah. I've been doing those ice showers, like the Wim Hof, and that does make a difference. Also, I wanted to say,
but that feels brutal. Sorry, when you're like in that space, doesn't, like, I could not. If I'm already feeling shitty, to me that feels like hard on top of hard.
No, it does something with the dopamine, and it just is like, ooh, it's like amazing. But also, when we go, what if it doesn't work out? Just one small word, and you'll see even the energy. But what if it does?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
So, but do you see how the energy can just shift?
It's exciting.
Because we were never given that option of like, instead of stressing to the point of going, I have to worry, instead of going, but what if it does work out? And either way, the process is so fun.
It is fun. It really is. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. I love it. But so some days it's like moving like that, and some days I would say, like I said, I've got to be better about scheduling just some downtime for myself. Or if I don't want to schedule it, because I'm bad at that, I just like to do things when I feel like doing them. But allowing myself to just stop and take, rest if I need to, and I don't know, some days you just need it. So you can process. Yeah. Because when I'm up and doing stuff, like you said, how you said you're trying to do your driver's test, like and you and I especially, so like ADHD or whatever it is, it's like I got shit going on all the time around me. If I'm doing this, I've got a podcast going I'm listening to an audiobook, or I'm listening to something on TV, and it's like, overwhelming.
I never feel like that when thing is just enough. It's always like, it's not enough. You got to do more.
But that's a productive thing too, right? That's a...
For sure.
And it's also just because we live alone, I think. It's like, it's nice to just have another voice around too and feel like, well, if I'm going to listen to somebody's damn voice, I might as well be taking in information.
Totally.
Right? So it's like eventually it catches up and you're like, I'm at capacity. I'm absolutely at capacity and I just need to stop.
Yes. And downtime for me is sleep. What is downtime for you?
I don't know. What downtime? I'm sorry, is there downtime?
I know, but I mean,
I
like,
cannot
if you
answer
were
the
to
question,
schedule
Dena.
downtown, if you were able to schedule downtime, what do? Sit there and go, okay, I'm down.
Well, it's
Now
like,
what? What does that look like for you?
Well, I would say I know myself well enough that I'm not going to schedule it because when I get to that day, if I want to get up and do something, I'd rather get up and do something. I like being productive. I love it.
Yeah.
Vacations the same way. I can't stand laying on a damn beach all day. Let me go explore a city. Let me go do something, where I'm taking in new information.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. So
Totally.
I think
and
for
that's
me, I just have
like
to allow.
Downtime.
It is.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I just have to be better about when I hit those days. Just allow myself to be in it and feel it. Not beat myself up about, oh shit, you should be up doing all these other things because I do them all the time.
Well, and then maybe to just ask yourself, and it doesn't mean everyone has to, but ask yourself why you feel the need to be productive every second of every day. And then maybe you could find the reason why you are that way. And then that could be something that you further, investigate.
Well,
down
I'm
the
trying
line.
to make a living too, but
I get
that is a huge part of it.
I get it, but you are a constant, just like I am, you are always doing something, and it doesn't always have to do with making a living.
No. Well, yes and no. A lot of it is. It's onto a project that I feel like is going to bring in money. They're all fun projects, don't get me wrong, but they all have to do with, well, how is this going to ultimately benefit what's coming in? I feel like.
Okay, got it.
Right? I don't spend
So
a lot of time on other things.
Maybe downtime is something that you do that has nothing to do with money coming in.
Right.
I don't know. What I mean, just like your walks out with Reggie, or like.
Well, he's in another city. I miss him. It's my mom's
know,
dog,
and then going when you met that nice vegan restaurant lady, or like that for me would
stuff
be
like
downtime
that. Exactly.
when you did.
Exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah,
that's
good.
amazing. So I think it looks different for everyone, and I think everyone gets to decide for themselves, but don't allow other people's narrative or their tone or their stuff to make you feel guilty or stop you from starting to heal this part of yourself, right?
Yes.
Because when we're feeling funky, if we don't take care of ourselves, and then some people may go, well, I don't have the luxury, but you do have the luxury of deciding what's going to go in your brain and what's going to not go in your brain, what makes the cut.
That's right.
So if you can start somewhere, start what you're going to take in and what you're not going to take in. That is a form of self-care.
You know what? Something just occurred to me too when you were asking me what is my downtime and what things I was describing that I enjoy. That is why I think I love to travel and work somewhere else. Because when I stop down working, I'm instantly in another world that I get to explore, and it's so fun. I think I just put two and two together.
Super cool.
How about that?
See, that's why these conversations are
thanks,
so important.
Dena.
They come full circle. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love it.
You're
welcome.
That too. Yeah. So anyway,
yay!
that's fun.
That's why these conversations are so fun and so important.
Yeah. Agreed. Because I got something out of it. I don't know if y'all did, but I did. So thank you. And this is my free therapy, damn it. So
yes, I like it. Mine too, actually.
Yours too. Aw. Well, so y'all stay tuned for our little cooking segment. Don't forget, last week's was so fun, and I'm excited to see what this one is.
It's gonna be yummy.
Oh Lord, I'm terrified. Anyway, all right. So have a wonderful week, and we'll see y'all next week here on Life in the New Normal Podcast.
I have a vegan gluten-free recipe that is so easy and so good that even Ashley can do it.
Rude.
I know, I'm a jerk for that one, but I couldn't help it. It was just too easy.
Okay, all I can say is, Dena, challenge accepted. Yeah, and whatever. I mean, how hard can this one be? I kind of appreciate that she's dumbing it down for me a little bit though, because last week's was kind of a disaster.
So here is that, you could call it a faux chicken, a faux tuna, whatever it is, but it really does taste like your favorite, tuna salad, chicken salad, something.
Just follow the video this time, Ashley.
I just did the chickpeas, but I like to use half a can. I don't use the whole can just because I won't eat all that much at once, and I like it fresh.
Here we have the chickpeas. I'm gonna do it. Did y'all see that?
And I put celery and onions. I did a stalk of celery and a fourth of an onion. I'm gonna mix that in there.
I got some green onion here instead of her regular old boring onion.
I'm just gonna add some salt and some pepper. And we're gonna smash it. You're gonna smash the beans like this, right? So you wanna smash them with your fork like that.
It's gonna be great.
You're smashing it, right? Doesn't matter if you hit the onions or the celery, it's just all good.
This is really weird, but it even randomly smells a little like tuna. So Natch, I think we need a little lemon with it. Dena.
I smash it all in there together, so then little bits of the smash are left over on the pieces of celery. It is so easy.
All you gotta do is follow the video.
Then use a little vegan mayonnaise, if you like mustard or even just olive oil.
If we had some vegan ranch in the house, I would use that.
And something else that's good too. And then just put it all in there. And voila! You have your faux chicken tuna chickpea salad. You can mash it as much as you want.
I prefer mine on some salad greens.
What I like to do is I like to get some gluten-free crackers or some bread.
Now, because we are here to one up Miss Thang, I'm gonna put mine back into a cute little mold.
And it just makes such a good lunchtime protein.
And I'm gonna shape it and love it, make it pretty and call it George.
So you just put it like little there, little there. So good.
Drizzle a little olive oil, and then a little balsamic glaze. It's gonna be delicious, y'all.
No excuse. It's so yummy. Great.
Is my faux tuna salad better than Dena's? I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say yes. I have no idea.
That gets it quick. That was just so fast, I don't know what to do with myself.
It's good, y'all. And it's really fast and it's really easy. So what a great little protein lunch recommendation you had there, Dena. Thank you. I liked it.
So good. Yes, I love it.
Cheers, y'all. See you next time. Join us here each week as we unpack life in the new normal with a new hashtag Subtle Change Profound Impact from Coach Dena. To get a little daily inspirational message in your social feed, follow us on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Copyright 2020 Angel Baby Films, all rights reserved.